Hi guys and dolls, how are you? Okay, so there has been some really twisted thought processes running around regarding men approaching women. Men are starting to get twisted, okay? They're starting to compare themselves to predators because their logic or illogic for not approaching women is, I don't want to come off like a predator, or I don't want her to call the police on me. I don't want to appear to be a stalker, so I don't approach. So obviously that thought process is extremely stupid and illogical. I'm just going to keep it real. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just not. I get approached, but it's not by people who I want to be bothered with, okay? However, this mentality that men are terrified of women has been going on for years now, multiple years now, and they compare it to the Me Too movement, which has absolutely nothing to do with you talking to a woman. The Me Too movement, in case you don't know, let me educate you men. The Me Too movement pertains to a couple of celebrities, for example, who have violated women, who have attacked women, sexually assaulted them, manipulated them, put toxic medicines in they basically drugged them, put it in their latte or their coffee or whatever, so that they could take advantage of them. There are other types of predators who have paid bartenders to spike women's drinks so that they could take advantage of them. There are men who have stalked women because she didn't want to go out with him, so he insisted on following her car, finding out where she lived, going to her job or whatever, and not getting a clue. So she had no choice but to call the police and say, this guy won't leave me alone. So unless you men are in any of those categories, that has nothing to do with you. Do not merge things together that don't belong together. Those individuals were actual predators for real. They didn't just say, hi, you want to go out sometime? And then she said, ah, and called the cops. I mean, you know, in your logical mind, let's use some logic. You know, in your logical mind, that's just dumb. That's just plain stupid. No woman is going to scream and yell and call the cops because you said, hey, I hope I'm not too forward. I noticed you having coffee here. Do you mind if I join you? And she says, no, and I'd rather be alone. Okay, well, have a good day. Thank you anyway. Have a good day. And then as soon as he turns his back, she's going to call the cops. I mean, come on. Listen. You have got to start using your brains. And you have got to stop. I'm addressing the men now. You have got to stop. And this isn't for all men, okay? Some guys are players. They will talk to everybody, any woman, any time of the week. I'm obviously not talking about that type of person. I'm talking about guys that are they're hiding behind their couch and terrified to come out because there's women out in the real world that are going to call the cops on me. And it's just asinine. It's absolutely asinine. And if you are that paranoid, and I'm not being funny, I'm serious as a heart attack right now. If you're that paranoid that all women are after you, you need to go get professional therapy, because that sounds like a schizophrenic mentality. The whole world's after me. Everyone's after me. They're plotting to destroy me as we speak. That's schizophrenia, or a possible sign of schizophrenia. You need to go to a therapist if you think everyone's after you, every woman is after you. If you say, hi, I like your shirt, she's going to say, oh my God, he sexually assaulted me verbally. He gave me a compliment. I mean, stop. You need to stop this, because you're starting to spiral out of control. Nobody's going to tell you that, but I'm going to tell you that you're spiraling out of control. The same thing, I would tell women the same thing. If they thought that every man was after them, every man who said, I like your hair, or I like your dress, Anybody who gives a compliment is, oh my God, I have to file a police report. I mean, if women were that paranoid about men, I would be telling them they're starting to psychologically spiral out of control too. It's not a normal mindset. It's twisted. It's twisted. And for those of you who had mothers who were psychologically destructive to you, and that's why you think all women are like that, you need therapy too. Because everybody's not like your mom. I'm just saying, everybody's not like your mom. So you can't compare every woman to your mother. These are real fears that men have. And this is based on Psychology Today. It's called Men's Fears of Women in Everyday Life. Men's fears of women in intimate relationships are hidden in plain sight. Most men do such an incredibly good job at hiding these fears and vulnerabilities that even their mothers and lovers don't know how scared they are. Men hide their fears because they are taught that real men don't get scared. If they do, they should never let anyone know because they will lose respect and be a competitive disadvantage with other men. You should not let women know because they will think less of you as a man and be less attracted to you or may even take advantage of you. Hiding these fears is so reflexive for most men that they are largely unaware of them. They are, however, just below the surface, and it doesn't take much prompting to recognize them. One man said to me, at first I passed by it because I thought I'm not afraid of women, but since that moment, my mind's been racing, thinking of the ways that can be true, and has been true as far back as I can remember. And let me pause myself for a second. There are some things to be fearful of, but women can be fearful too. Okay? Many crimes are committed against women. Many women are assaulted, murdered when they're pregnant. Their bodies are found in the desert. I could go on and on and on. Okay? So if anybody has reason to be fearful, it's us. But we don't fear all men because some men are whack. All right. But there are some things you should be afraid, should make you nervous, like having children with the wrong person, because the state is going to automatically look out for her. Even if she's a nutcase, drug head, whatever, she's going to take your kids from you. That's the reason I tell people, take your time before you have children with folks, because you haven't been with them long enough to know who they really are. And here you are marrying them and having children. So you have to be careful who you make permanent decisions with, especially when you know that the state is going to be siding with her, regardless of she's a wackadoo nut job. All right. So there are some things you should be afraid of. Saying hello to a woman, but being fearful. I can't say hi. She'll call the cops on me. That you're starting to spiral out of control. That just defies logic. Okay. So let's see. I'm not going to go over every single word, but let's see. Research suggests that the more competent a woman is at work, the less likable she is rated by men who work there. So that's an interesting dynamic. Research suggests that the more competent a woman is at work, the less likable she is rated by the men she works with. Here are some examples of the ways that men's fears of women show up in intimate relationships. If you're a man reading this, see how far down the list you get before you start to recognize yourself and or your relationship. Show these examples to a few of your male friends and colleagues and watch their expressions shift from puzzled to dawning recognition. Okay. Oh, stop that. No, my phone is doing weird things. Stop it right now. Quit it. Okay. You are a man in a committed relationship with a woman. Friends ask you at the last minute to get together and have a drink after work. You and your partner don't have plans for the evening, and it bothers you that your first thought is not about whether you would like to see your friends, but about whether your partner will be upset with you. She has never objected to your getting together with your friends. This is not a group of guys who get together to go to strip clubs or chase women. And yet, even after calling to check in with her, it's hard to shake the feeling that you've done something wrong. You want to feel free, unencumbered. If you are that terrified of a woman, the woman that you're involved with, the woman that you're pulling your clothes off for, okay, you shouldn't be with this person. If you can't communicate with them, and I want to ask her this, but I don't want her to flip out, and what if she does flip out, and then her whole night's going to be ruined, and she's going to go 7 days without speaking to me, and then blah, 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 blah. Is this the person you want to be with? Because I'm going to tell you what this lady told me when her and a group of her friends were sitting on the roof, and I was talking to them and about the manipulationship I was in. And they're like, how many red flags do you need? I said, trust me, I know. One of them is married. None of the other ones are. And the one that's married said, you'll know that this is the person that you should be with because you feel safe with them. You feel comfortable with them and you feel safe with them. There you go. That's my point. Okay. You are a man in a committed relationship with a woman. You and your partner come home at the end of the day and it seems clear to you that she's upset. You ask if she's okay and she insists that she is. You ask if she's upset with you and she assures you she is not. Despite all her reassurances, you can't shake an uneasy, unsettling feeling. The longer she stays upset, the more worried you get until her being upset becomes your single preoccupation, as if nothing else can happen unless it's resolved. You are convinced that she's upset with you, that you've done something wrong, although you have no idea what that might be. You yearn to feel off the hook and back to the status quo. That's just not a man thing. Women go through that too. Men can do the same behavior. So that's not a thing that men need to be terrified of women for. That's a person thing. That's not a gender thing. Although women do typically, the man can ask, are you mad at me? No. Well, you seems like you're mad at me. I said I'm not. You don't treat your partner that way. That's disrespectful. Okay. I'm not siding with anybody, but in that scenario, the woman is wrong. Clearly she's upset. So to act like she's not is unfair to her partner. That goes both ways in both genders, but women typically do that a lot. You are a man and a woman in a committed relationship having an argument. As the woman, you are hurt and angry. As the man, you can clearly see that she's upset and her tears make you surprisingly uncomfortable. While you would like to feel empathic, there is something about her strong feelings that is distressing to you and gets in the way. Because you are uncomfortable with your own strong feelings, you, the man, begin to withdraw emotionally and detach to protect yourself. That is a common thing also. For reasons you don't fully understand, it becomes increasingly important to you to remain rational and unemotional, and you are increasingly critical of and irritated with your partner for being too emotional. You, the woman, can feel your partner withdrawing, and the more he withdraws, the stronger your feelings become, and the more urgently you pursue him, trying to find a way to make some kind of emotional connection. Now you both are locked in a mutually destructive cycle. The more you, the woman, push the emotional connection you yearn for, the more he detaches. The more you, the man, try to control your fear by detaching, the more upset she gets. You are a man and a woman in a long-term committed relationship. Your sexual relationship started out pretty hot and exciting. You had a lot of sex, both enjoyed it, and seemed to agree about wanting to have sex as often as you could. Over the last few years, not only has the frequency fallen way off, but sex has started to feel more like just another thing to check off the list. Neither of you is very excited about it. It's just something you both feel like you should do. Although you, as the man, find yourself less interested in sex with your partner, you still feel very sexually active. You are often turned on by other women and masturbate frequently, usually to images of women who don't look much like your partner and to sexual activities that are different from the sex you have with her. You are particularly turned on by scenes in which the woman's desire is very overt, but when your partner is open about her own sexual desire, you get turned off. Truth be told, it often seems more attractive to masturbate to fantasies you can control than to navigate the complex emotional territory that becomes necessary to have sex with your partner. So these are things that make men get a little standoffish and withdraw from. They have fear about. These are legitimate. if I say hi to her, I'm going to go to jail, is not legitimate. That is ridiculous behavior. It is ridiculous on every level. It defies logic, reason, and common sense. Ask your dad if he was terrified of women. Ask your grandfather and your great-grandfather, were they terrified of women? Because if they were, you wouldn't be here. Okay? Your grandparents had your parents, and then your parents had you. So if those dots were not connected, I can't speak. If those dots were not all connected, you wouldn't be here. So somebody's got to step up to the plate and say, hey, this is what I want, and I'm going for it. Because I assure you, and a lot of y'all probably have been through this, okay? There's a woman of your dreams, and you never approached her because you were terrified she was going to reject you. And then she got swept up, oh, my brain. She got swept up by someone else. And you find yourself rejected, and you find, even though you never asked her out, you find yourself hurt, maybe even jealous. But if you didn't let your fears dominate you, and you stepped up to the plate and braced yourself for a hard no or a soft no, just do what you got to do, then you would always feel like, okay, well, if she's with someone else, it didn't work out with me and her, I'm going to move on. Yes, I'm hurt, but hey, we don't win at everything. We don't get a yes for everything, which is true. We don't. So these are things, men can be afraid of being dominated, controlled, or abandoned by women. That goes back to taking your time with the person that you're with. Don't meet someone on Monday and within 3 months you're married. And yes, I did talk to a guy who did that. I was coaching a guy who, he met her after 3 months. He thought she was the woman of his dreams. You do not know this person after 3 months, okay? You do not know this person after 3 months. You don't, okay? And he married her, and he regrets it, and she's a horrible person. But she was going to be the best person in the world to get the ring on her finger. I've heard people call it the MRS degree, the Mrs. title, the MRS degree. So they'll do whatever it takes, and might even encourage you to marry them. And that should be a red flag. Okay. Men can be afraid of being inadequate with women. That's a legitimate fear. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Let me go back to this for a second. Where is it? Okay. By the way, this article was written by Avram Weiss. He has a PhD, and he wrote this article, From Fear to Intimacy. So some of these fears can actually be resolved with communication. Women have a lot of fears too. We don't feel like you're going to call the cops if we say hello, because that's ridiculous. It is. I'm sorry, it is. I don't know where y'all get that from. It's ridiculous. But we have fears that you're going to impregnate us and dump us. You're not going to just dump us. You're going to dump the child. We have fears that you're head over heels in love with us now, but a week or two from now, a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, you're interested in Sally Sue over there. So we know how easily it is for men to detach from us. I'm not saying women don't do it, but men easily do it. Detach. So we have fears too. None of which, I can't say hi to him because he's going to call the cops. Like I said, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Wherever y'all got that from, you need to get rid of it. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And like I said, the Me Too movement has nothing to do with men saying hello to women. It has to do with actual predators who were sexually assaulting women, putting spike in their drinks, and taking advantage of them. And, some of whom pretended to be the nice guy at the club. Why don't you come home? I mean, not come home with me, but why don't you let me take you home? There's a lot of predators out here. And she goes in the car with him, and he's the actual predator she should have been looking out for. I mean, all kinds of crap happened. So, come on. Gabby Petito, she didn't kill herself. He killed her. So, I mean, we could easily say, well, all guys are potential killers. I mean, do you see how crazy that sounds? Come on now. Let's not spin out of control with these crazy thoughts that have no real merit. All right? Not everybody is a killer. Not everybody is, whatever his name is, Brian Laundrie, the guy who killed her. Not everybody is a Brian Laundrie. Women who are smart know that. Okay. You do have fears that are legit. What if I get married to the wrong person? What if I have kids with the wrong person? What if she uses the kids to control me? Those are legitimate fears. You know, uh, I would advise that you don't have romantic interludes with women who are under the influence of alcohol, because she can easily say later that you assaulted her. Even though you didn't, she could easily say that because she doesn't remember telling you, coming on to you or you coming on to her. She don't remember any of that, so she's going to say that you assaulted her. And these things do happen. So those are legitimate fears. Don't have intimacy with someone who is intoxicated or under the influence of anything, because that could turn around and bite you on the butt. Saying hello will not get you thrown in jail. It will not get her to call the cops on you. I'm sorry. I mean, come on. I mean, like I said, that is just the most ludicrous, disturbing thing I've ever heard. And when I look at all the crimes that were directed at women, it is becoming almost routine for men to kill their partners when they're tired of them. If you don't believe me, go to the library. You don't have to go to the library anymore. Do research on your phone. How many men commit murders per year? And it's, women are dropping like flies because they are getting killed left and right and left and right and left and right. If anybody has a reason to be afraid, it's us. Okay? But we're logical. Some of us are logical. And we know that everybody's not, going to assault us. Not everyone is going to kill us. Not everyone is going to, whatever. Some guys have used women for their money. He knew that she was wealthy and he plotted to kill her after he married her so that he could get access to all the money in her bank account. We don't assume that all men are going to do that. So let's not be silly. Let's just stop that silly thinking. If you are terrified of women and there's no legitimate reason behind it, you need to seek therapy. And I cannot be more serious about that. Stop following guys who are talking nonsensicals online. Stop following them. Stop following their channels, because they are brainwashing you and teaching you that down is up and up is down. And you walk away not knowing which way what goes. Don't get brainwashed. Think for yourself. Think for yourself. Do not let injured men teach you to be injured. Wounded men teaching you to be wounded. Men who hate women teaching you to hate women. Use some common damn sense. And if there's someone that you've got the hots for, you went to school with her, you went to high school with her, you went to college with her, you took classes with her, whatever, and you guys are friends, and you always wanted more, you have nothing to lose by asking her, hey, I hope I'm not out of line. And if you say no, I'll just have to roll with it. But would you ever want to go out as more than friends? Would you ever want to, try something more than just friends? If she says, no, babe, I love you as a friend. I'm always going to love you as a friend, but I don't feel anything for you like that. Don't take that personally. You're not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Okay? Life is short. It's a lot shorter than you think it is. So you want to spend your life with these weird thoughts in your head and not, stepping out and doing what your heart is guiding you to do? Do you want to do that? Waste your life? And listen to some nonsense from some stupid idiot on YouTube? Come on, come on, come on. Life is short. If you're interested in somebody, open your mouth and let them know. Okay? Open your mouth and let them know. My dog, has scratched me. He has a habit, and I'm hot too. He has a habit of putting his paw right in your face, like that. I'm going to break him out of that habit. I've got little micro cuts in my face from him doing that. I'm not happy. Okay? They sting. I'm not happy. So anyway, you guys take care. Much love. If you need someone to talk to, let me know. If you have gotten your heart broken by a woman before, you cannot get over her and she destroyed you, reach out to me. Okay, if you don't want to reach out on YouTube, reach out on Instagram. Tranquility, all lowercase, underscore Q, the letter Q, the letter T, no spaces. Tranquility QT. Okay? Because again, I'm a cutie. Anyway. Yeah. So, like I said, stop getting brainwashed by society, by the media. The media is poison too. Don't get brainwashed by people online who have been burnt by women, and he wants you to hate women just as much as he does, or fear women as much as he does. Think for yourself. Okay? Think for yourself. You can do it. I know you can. All right? You guys take care. Much love.